Welcome to the Fortcast. My name is Conor Nickel, and this is Citizens of Fortitude.
Drop.
Nice. One take, Charlie.
First shot.
take.
Yeah. Love
Nailed
it.
I watched it a lot.
Yeah.
I've been practicing all night.
This is higher education at work.
Connor, you're here. This is awesome.
Thanks for having me.
And you work for the Fort.
I do.
You're part of our business.
Part of it.
You've been here since we've been doing the podcast for anyway, at least like from the beginning.
Yeah. From at least this high production value that we have here.
Yeah. And I've known you for 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
And you've been with us in the company for the last year? Over?
Officially just under a year.
Just under a year. Your 1 year anniversary is
like
coming
a
up.
year and a half-ish.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you I don't know if people know this, you volunteer coached
Yeah.
for us for like 6 months.
Yeah. A little bit more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I just wanted free training. No, that was,
Well, you came one time, you looked dead.
yeah, almost died.
I thought you'd never return. Then
fair.
you
That was a
never
good assessment.
then you never stopped and volunteer coached for 6 months and then came on as our operating officer 6 months after that. And then you've been with us almost officially
Almost a
for a year.
yeah. I mean, it was,
How did all that happen?
the first workout was the old run gym.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
What were you just coming as a just to tag along with a friend?
Obviously Jess and I have known each other forever. And so for years she'd be like, you have to come train at the Fort. You have to come train at the Fort. And I was like, no.
Because you were a coach at Mile High.
We're
with
coach at Mile
her,
High together.
and that's where I initially met you.
Yep.
So I think the
You took my
first
class.
Mile High class I ever took was yours.
Oh, I didn't know that was your first class. Okay.
Yeah,
I do
I'm pretty
remember your
sure.
first
And
class.
I came with
because
Jess
you came
to
with
your
Jess,
class.
and I was like, that's the strongest person I've ever seen. And shockingly, as a distance runner, I don't meet many people that look like you. None of my like cross country teammates look like you. And then I like made some sort of a joke to Jess. I was like, that guy, like, who the heck is your friend? He looks like he never leaves the gym. And she's like, he owns a gym. It's like that makes sense. He owns the gym. Yeah, that tracks. So it was September 2020 was the first time I ever came to the run gym. I had gone for a run with Jess on the West Side Highway the day before.
Okay.
On like a Monday. And we just like went for a run. We were just catching up on life and like how, shitty the past few months had been and all that stuff. I was injured at the beginning of the pandemic. I had let myself get so out of shape because it was a combo of like, the only thing you could do was go for like a
Was
run
it a
by
bad
yourself.
Injury? Like what?
Yeah, it was all just like my IT band was all just messed up.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't.
Okay.
I went for a run mid-April was my first like run in this is 2020, like in the middle of the pandemic or in the height of the pandemic, and made it about a mile into Central Park. And I was like in tears and turned around and walked home and couldn't run. And no, like PT wasn't open or anything wasn't open.
Nothing
so I
was
just
open.
like sat at home and gained weight. So when I showed up to the run gym, that was a Tuesday like prep session with the kind of the old team. I got destroyed, of course.
Yeah, you were messed up.
Yeah,
I remember
got destroyed and was just like, yeah, this is great. This is what I need. Like, so just kind of finally like hit at the right time.
But
after like years of Jess asking me to come, years of like come train with us, come run, like come do the work. Even she was asking me before even the run gym existed, just come to the strength club. And I was just like, that doesn't seem like it's for me. And it just like, whatever, just at the right time, it just hit and I showed up.
Did it hit you different than maybe you thought?
Oh, way different. I thought it would be like I thought it was going to be like I'd done plenty of like workout classes. I came from group fitness. So I was just going to be like another like group fitness class.
And you're a track athlete at Penn. I mean,
Yeah.
you're a Division I mid-distance runner, right? You ran the mile.
Went
and
back and forth between the mile and the 5K. Yep.
Mile
exactly.
5K. So
Yep.
like arguably some of the most difficult distances to run.
Tough.
So you're a tough guy. And you did one session, you're like, yeah, I want to do more of this.
Yeah. It was also the, we have a ton of division or any collegiate athletes here.
It's
We
fair
have quite a
amount.
former collegiate athletes here that miss the team. You graduate, you're 21 or 22, and then you go off and get some job and don't have a team to train with anymore. And you can join a gym or, depending on your sport, like you could find like rec league or whatever, it's not the same. there's not that accountability. You don't necessarily see the same people over and over again. Like, I ran with the same people every day for 4 years at 3 o'clock. I was like, we were there. Like you knew who was going to be there with you, and you knew what was coming up. And like, I didn't have that until I trained with y'all again I graduated 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
And when you show up with your team, you know who performs that day and who doesn't.
Right.
And I do think for a while, like you knew the metrics, you paid attention to the times and the board, and you wanted to move up sort of in the hierarchy of things. Like you knew, you had calculated some things out and kind of knew what progress would be.
Yeah, totally.
And
My goal was always to be on the treadmill
those
twice as fast as Dan.
Yeah. That's not a lofty goal.
And then when we were in the strength club, to be half the weight as Dan.
That tougher, maybe a little tougher.
That was tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like missing the team component and kind of exactly like what you had obviously built. And I was never a client. I never like went in and trained with clients. It was just with the team and with whoever was coaching and with you guys and with Jess. And so that was the huge component of it. And then obviously, September, October, the end of 2020 was not fun business wise.
No.
It was not a good time here, but I loved it.
And you had committed. You were coming like 6 days a week? Was there a period? Did you ramp up to it?
I was originally just coming for the first probably 4 or 5 weeks or so. Was just coming twice a week, only to the run gym. 2 or 3 times, only to the run gym.
That's how it started.
And the strength club definitely still scared me a little bit, but also like I wasn't working for you yet. I wasn't paying anything.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I am fully mooching off of these very nice people who are allowing me to train with them. And it was my first time. It was then once we had talked about Jess and I talked about do I want to be a coach here, stuff like that. And I loved it, but you guys had kind of already had a little team and it was working. And I was like, I don't need to come in here and disrupt it. And once that kind of all changed, is when I said to Jess, one of 2 things are going to happen. I remember that day when it was just just you guys left basically. And I said, I'll either start paying for a membership, just tell me what it costs and I'll just start paying it to keep my training going here. Or I'll just give me a set of keys and I'll just show up and start coaching sessions. Whichever is more helpful. You tell me which is more helpful. Because I love this place. And I need to start chipping. That was my notion. I need to start chipping in here. I just can't keep showing up and just training for free and
maybe you were feeling some value and you wanted to give back.
Yeah.
You wanted to even it out a little bit.
Yeah. And then after that, I went into the strength club for the first time, and I forget what the first lift was. It didn't go well there either. But I had been coming to the run gym for a bit at least. At the end of the session, I asked you, because I had only known you now for a few weeks.
Right.
So Jess would tell me oh yeah, you're always welcome here. You can always come train. And I'm like, you're saying that, but we're also friends. So do you mean it? Or is it but coming from you, it meant a lot more, where I said how many days a week, should I do this? And you said, how old are you? Yeah. And at the time I was 27 or 28. I was 28. And you're you do this every fucking day. Yeah. And I was oh, okay. And that gave me permission then that I'm not I'm not mooching. They are okay. If Dan, the guy I knew the least in the room was what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Show up here every day, work hard, elevate the room. This is what you do now.
Yeah.
And I haven't stopped showing up.
Yeah. There's there's a gym ethos that I don't think it's just limited to us, where if you contribute to the training session, you're always welcome. I love that about garage gyms, where guys from the neighborhood will just kind of show up and you get a good group. And if someone kind of sucks, you don't really invite them back. But as long as people are good, you're just oh yeah, just keep coming. Everything else kind of works itself out. But as someone who likes to train, you want to be around other people who also like to train. And I don't know what it took you 3 weeks to get to the top of the leaderboard at the run gym. It wasn't too long before you were pushing
fast.
Yeah.
And you put up some of the most amazing performances I've ever seen in that space.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Remember you ran back-to-back miles at
three of them in 5
5-minute
minutes.
pace. Three.
Yeah.
5-minute miles
we were
in
doing
a row on a treadmill.
We were doing 5-minute repeats. So I
That's
was I might as well hit a mile.
That's
if we're
12
going
and
to
a
do
half.
5-minute repeats, might as well do a mile.
And
It's 5-minute repeats with what, 2 or 3 minutes rest?
Like that.
12 and a half miles per hour?
12.
12 miles per hour.
Yeah. It's still to me.
Yeah, get on a treadmill, turn up to 12, see how long you last, Dan.
Yeah, I can't, not 1 second.
Yeah, I'm gonna be hitting the wall right behind him.
Yeah, I can't. My legs don't move like that. Yeah, it is that.
I mean, put 260 kilos on a bar and see how far I lift it off
sure.
the ground.
We all have our things, but I would still
not moving.
say the 3 5-minute mile repeats is one of the most impressive things I've seen in the time that we've been open for business.
Yeah, in any capacity.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
I'm proud of that one.
Yeah.
And it's interesting what you were saying about the garage gym ethos, and like if someone's around, they're contributing. It's always cool for them to come because it makes everything feel better. And initially, when we started the business, I think we really had that. Jess we made a deal with Jess where she could train at like half price, but she had to come every day because she elevated everything. She made the gym better, and this kind of worked with you as an employee. Like you kind of just kept coming, volunteered your time, you learned what we were doing. You sort of understood what we were doing. I think you believed in it for yourself, and then you believed in it enough that you left the job that you were at to come on board with
totally
us.
Completely
switch careers. What do you think it was that you saw in what we were doing? Was it for yourself, for others? Like, why did you want to be a part of this company? And you left a great job. You had an awesome job. You'd been there for a while, well respected, had lots of responsibility. So like, it wasn't like an easy thing to switch.
No, it took months.
Yeah.
We started talking about it in January. I didn't make the jump until July.
Right.
It took us months to get here.
I would love to hear more about like why you were motivated to be part of the company.
Yeah. I think I saw myself a little bit as like a microcosm of what we do for our clients. Certainly like, we would never say like, yeah, come train with us and you'll run 5-minute miles 2 months later. Like I certainly had that background already, but I had been so far removed from it. And it kind of just like reignited all. When I started training, even just at the run gym, and then when I started training 6 days a week, everything else improved also. My diet improved, my sleep improved, my running outside the gym, like training outside the gym improved. So it just kind of, I felt it just kind of elevate everything that I wanted and was missing, and especially hitting me like at the end of 2020 when I was like, went through that like hibernation phase and like multiple months of being injured and couldn't run and couldn't do anything. I did feel it firsthand, first and foremost. And then I started to coach and meet people, and like they had similar stories or they had like similar effects on them. And every week over week, month over month, it was growing, right? We were growing again once we got into 2021.
Yeah.
And we started talking about it, and I was like, right away, I was like, well, I've got a whole career going here. So like, I was thinking about like, could this be a side? Like, should I coach you on the side?
Right, because you had other side coaching jobs.
I had always had side jobs, part to just like afford to live in New York City, and part just because it was things I was passionate about. So it's like, is this like a replacement side job? And then it was actually April was then once like the business kind of started to turn around a little or get back to like kind of where it was, or actually I could think April 2021 was when we first exceeded where we were pre-pandemic. And I was like, oh, this is actually like a career. This is something that's when we started talking about more locations, and even before I came on here, and I was like, this is something like, so just, I don't know, just like the momentum just kind of grew, and I spent every month I spent more time here. And the team was growing, right? That's when we were like hiring all like our coaches all through that phase, all through the end of 2020
building
into
the
2021.
company in that phase.
Building the company back up.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing before we even had like a title or anything for what my job now is.
Yeah.
You said we need to build I think you said something to the effect of like, we've been a successful gym. Very true. You've been around for 6 years, survived a pandemic. Like, you to build a successful gym, what's like, we need to take the next step to make it a company. And you said, you think it was also you believing in me and asking me, like, this wasn't like a job posting I found on Indeed and applied for.
No.
And you two like specifically coming to me and be like, do you think you could make this a company? So it was kind of all that. And then it was the right timing of that. I had been at my old job for a bit. I was ready for a challenge, and I kept saying, I was talking to a friend about it, and I was like, I was ready to bet on myself. Like, I don't know if I can do this job.
That's awesome.
I've never done this job. I've never been a COO before. I was like, I've never worked for a small business before. Like, I've worked for nonprofits in the past, but I'd never worked for like I know it's been around for 6 years, but like basically the ground floor of a small growing business. The New York City Marathon was what it was by the time I got there. It wasn't a budding race anymore.
Yeah.
It was the biggest event in the world by the time I got there. So it was, you kind of having that little bit of a belief in me, like you did to invite me into the strength club or run gym from the very beginning, to then me being like, having like the months to think about it and talking to some friends about it. Like, this is the right time to take a bet on myself that I can do this, that I will figure it out. Hopefully we are.
Yeah. I think we've identified, and we've spent some time figuring this out, like the 3 key attributes that we look for from people who are going to be part of the company. And one of them is being mission driven. And I think Conor really kind of exemplifies that. If we were going to hold someone up as being like kind of maybe the most mission driven person, I think you exemplify that just by your willingness to volunteer your time, to just believe in the training enough to be part of it and value it enough to be like, hey, listen, I don't feel good about taking this for free. Like, let me contribute. I think you were like creating, documents and rule books for us and stuff before we even knew that we needed those things or knew to ask for them. So I think like that to me, that's a big reason why we wanted to make this leap forward with you, was that, you're like, I'm more about this than I am about myself. And I think that like that is something that we look for in people. I think it's like kind of where the whole gym started from.
I think it's what any company, especially a company our size, should look for in people. It's like, who's on the same mission as you?
Yeah.
And who's going to do it anyway? Like, who's going to do it whether it's their job or not?
Right.
It wasn't your job. You're still doing it. That's a good indicator to me that this is the right like position for someone like you. And ultimately, we're just trying to collect people that like truly exemplify the mission and are going to be doing it anyway. And it is rare. I do think it is rare. And when you come across it, you gotta pay special attention to it.
Yeah.
I mean, this place is bigger than any one of us individually.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Bigger than you two. You've built something much bigger than yourselves. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you need the right people to keep it growing that way.
Yeah. It's funny because it's hard to find, but it's also like critical, right? Like it's very hard to do it at the level that we want to do it without people who just believe in it so much that they would, be willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Yeah. The game, I mean, I think the game now is just people, basically. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not reinventing who we are. We're clarifying what we do. Maybe, we work on the communication, but we know what it is. So we're focusing on it, but it from here over the next 10 years is how many people can we find and collect and continue to utilize, motivate, that are on this mission with us to empower people beyond the gym. Like the empowerment thing, I think the thing that seems to stem with everybody that's been through the podcast where we've been talking about this is it extends outside of the training facility. Totally. It seeps into who you are as a person, or reconnects you into a person that you've been in the past that you were really fond of. And when you're able to reconnect there, you want to stay there. You want to do whatever you got to do to like keep cultivating that and growing that. And I think that's what our people, I think that's why people stay with us for so long. It's like they become they become or they reconnect with the person that they want to be. Yeah. And they don't want to stop.
Yeah. And that's so critical, and something that's a little hard to talk to about with people in the beginning, because it's like, people come because they want to train and they want expert training and all the things that they think are like the nuts and bolts of that. But I think to us, like being part of a community and being around other people who are committed to it is really special. And then taking kind of the things that you see here, that you learn here, some of those qualities, and take them outside of the gym, or like, that's the real special thing and where you get a lot of value. But it's a hard thing to kind of hear until you experience it, right? It sounds like a little ethereal and out there, right? Until you actually do it and you're like, oh God, my relationships are better and I got a promotion and I don't want to believe that it's because of the gym, but maybe kind of it is. And I know that sounds crazy, but I've just seen it happen too many times. Like it does center a lot of people in a way that allows clarity in the rest of their life.
Yeah. I've just seen it. Like you said, it's too common of a thing to not pay attention to that anymore.
Sure. And you've felt it at some point in your fitness transformation.
Oh yeah.
At some point. And I had it when I kind of like refound it here, right? Like I'd been running forever, but then not competitively for a while and then refound it here. So yeah, like we've all felt it ourselves at some point too. And it might be hard to pinpoint it back to the gym.
Yeah.
But certainly it's a real effect.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of tools, and Kyle, you bring up something that's like probably a way deeper point, but I think there's a lot of tools out there that help you reconnect to who you are. Right. I think that's a thing that we kind of lose. I think it's like why we can be so fascinated with babies. Like they're exactly who they are. They're not affected by the outside world. And then obviously they gain a sense of self and things change. But I think anything that can kind of bring you back to that root of who you are is just so special and so important. And when you feel that, it does become addictive and necessary and a thing you're willing to fight for and invest in and put the time in. And my hope is that's what we provide for people, or at least get a little bit more in touch with who they are. And I just think physicality is a way for a lot of people to do that.
So what advice would you have for someone who's got a running background and is trying to incorporate some strength training or reconnect back with the athlete that they were in? Like, what would you say to yourself back in the times when you were like searching for something, but right before you met the Fort?
When I was competitive, I would say back college age, I would say not to be afraid of the weight room. Dreaded it, hated it. Like if I
did you guys lift much weights?
Barely.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that your coach wasn't a fan.
No, it was
you guys weight training.
Yeah, my coach my junior and senior year was not a fan. More of the strength and conditioning staff because he wanted to program it.
He wanted to do it. Oh, okay.
For at least for the distance runners, I think he let like the throwers and sprinters who were more needed to be down there more often. We were there like once or twice a week, and he wanted to kind of be in charge of the weightlifting program for the distance runners. And they said, no, we have a strength and conditioning staff for that. So he just pulled us out. I was like, we'll do it all body weight on our own.
What we do in the strength training facility is like, or the strength club is like pretty new for you.
Very. Yeah. When I
wasn't sure if you had ever like really been.
Yeah, I've done I'd never cleaned before.
Right.
I probably had deadlifted before, but couldn't ever really tell you when or what.
Yeah, or how much.
Yeah. So it was at the very least it was like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And it had been a while.
Yeah. So whatever little bit I had done, it hadn't been for a decade. So when I was competitive, I'd be like, don't be afraid of, value. I would be much better runner. I would have been a much better runner when I was competitive.
What do you think it is about it? Because like you do understand it a lot more now. Like, what would you say to your coach? Like what do you understand about the weight training that could be valuable to runners or sprinters? Or like maybe
I think the sprinters probably did value it. So I don't want to, I wasn't, for middle distance cross country, guys. Like that kind of like the, the skinny little runners that you kind of envision. That was our whole team.
Right.
There is a kind of I think of it as like a baseline of strength, that when you do this work consistently, that you just kind of have in your arsenal. Mm-hmm. That then, of course you need the running specific stuff. Read Dan's blog that came out. I don't know when this comes out, but it came out today.
Yeah.
So if this comes out in a week. It came out a week ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
About that, you still need like the specificity of what, if you need to squat 400 pounds to get off an island, don't go for a run, learn how to squat. So you certainly still need the running specificity, but like, for example, I'm not training for anything right now. But
you are running.
I run. Yeah. I run for fun. I
ran
love
today.
I ran 7.5 miles this morning just for fun. Got out there early. Like a couple months ago, my friend was doing a mile race on a treadmill.
Yeah.
So I just like went with them. I was like, that sounds fun. Why not? Let's go race each other on a treadmill. Like, we're on separate treadmills, but and I ran a 4:30 mile.
Whoa.
It was just like
on a treadmill.
Yeah, I haven't been training for that. But it was just like I've been doing this. I've been pushing sleds. I've been trying to bench. And so I think there is a baseline of just like strength and fitness and underlying that improves any. Even if you don't necessarily see the corollary to then like becoming a faster, sure, you still need to do 5K specific work. You still need to do your intervals and repeats. You still need to spend a lot of time on the track and spike up and do all that stuff. Sure, no replacement for that. But I think I certainly undervalued it when I was competing when I was a competitor.
If you stay strength training, it does seem to be stickier and you maintain your athleticism better, longer.
Totally.
Like if all you're doing is like squatting, deadlifting, and say you throw in some like hard skis and rows, right? The short ones, like 3 to 5 minutes. Like I feel if you keep up with that, you'll feel capable of jumping into just about anything, even if you're not specifically keeping up with it, because you're gonna maintain your baseline athlete, your baseline strength, your baseline toughness, your baseline nervous system. I don't know exactly what it is, but you're not going to feel like a lazy do nothing turd. Which is
pretty much all I'm trying to do. I'm not competitive anymore. I'm not training for anything right now, but I've got friends who are jumping into different races and stuff like that. And I love the ability to just, my friend was just training for Boston. And like to jump in with his and go for like an 18-mile long run. It's like, sure, I can do that.
That's awesome.
Or to go to the track and just like run some intervals with someone who's training for a mile race or whatever. And just like have that like ability and flexibility, because I am running still like on my like here and there. But again, having that ability to just kind of jump around and be like, no, I'm fit enough. Like I have a baseline of fitness for that.
Yeah. See, I would even argue that like if you've developed the skill of running like Conor has, and he's so dialed into it, right? Now at some point, running is like a low-level plyometric, and it is maybe one of the most repetitive sports there is, right? It's like, it's basically, right?
I don't know how many steps I took on 7.5 miles this morning, but it was,
the motion is the motion, right? So if you already have the skill, and now you're just going to beat yourself up with this repetitive motion, you're just prone for injuries. And we see that with a lot of people who are passionate about running. And someone like you who's developed the skill of running and the know-how of running, this is a way of keeping the energy systems up, of keeping, staying in shape in a way that doesn't beat you up in that same repetitive way, gives you some variety, does not have the same type of impact on the joints of just doing the same thing over and over again. And now you just take the shape that you've gotten into, apply it to the skill that you already know, try to mitigate some of the wear and tear of just making it all about running. And now that you're successful, and I think that's a lot of things that like a lot of runners miss, is that once you kind of get to a level of running where you're really competent, actually doing other things and having some training variety can serve you, just because it's just very easy to get hurt. Like, it's runners and dancers to me that are like the two people that always seem to be beat up, because it's just so impactful and so repetitive.
Right.
And I just think this is like a great solution of like, well, you can stay in shape, you can keep the lungs going, you can keep everything, and you know how to run. This is not like, you're aware of the mechanics of it and also the pain of it and that threshold of it. And I just think this is like, using tools like this for more advanced runners is a great way of just staying in shape and being able to just break out a run whenever you want, kind of like you have. And if you're new to running, then you got to get the miles in. That's part of it, right?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so that's what I would say to like when I was my younger self competing. To someone who was more like in my position, like used to be competitive, whether it was running or another sport or any like cardio based sport, maybe, rowers and stuff like that, or swimmers, to like, but then like had like 6 years off, like post collegiate, like, I certainly wasn't fast enough to like do anything in running. I wasn't, anywhere at that level. People were way, way, way faster than me still, is something that you've definitely talked about this a lot. And it might have actually been the first Instagram video I think I maybe ever saw you put out, of just like, just start. If you're thinking about it, you're taking too long.
Yeah, if you're thinking about it, you should do it.
And I was so guilty of that for the years. Jess tried to drag me to here, and I resented it, or like said no, it's not for me, whatever, I don't want to do it. So then like the point where I like finally, it hit right. It was like whatever for that reason, like that day when she invited me, she's like, come with me tomorrow, 1:30. And I was like, okay, I'll be there. And I literally haven't left since that day.
It's all it takes, people.
So you just have to start.
Yeah, whoever's waiting 4 years to get started, go one time. It could be that one time and you never stop and it changes who you are forever.
Yeah. Taking action in anything is so powerful.
Yeah.
It is
do it.
tough to beat. It is tough to beat. Just start.
And she wasn't selling me on anything. She wasn't saying like, we're going to get you back in shape and you're going to change your career and quit your jobs and leave. She didn't say all that first day, but that's what has happened since then.
Right.
Because you didn't stop.
Yeah.
And you started.
Yeah. And listen, you might start and be like, I hate this. And then you stop. But at least then you can stop thinking about it. And figure out where to put your energy.
Talking about it.
But ideally you fall in love with it and it enhances everything else that you do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Conor, this has been awesome. Love that you came on the podcast with us.
Thanks for having me.
And do you have anything else you'd like to share with our people with the gym, the fort, your experience?
I mostly just hope that anyone watching this, the dozens of people watching
tens
this,
of people
the
watching.
tens of people watching this, if they are not already in love with the fort as much as I am, can kind of find that place, find that consistency. If you're not already here, like come in for a trial, like test it out, start. Just start. Again, it doesn't like you've talked to thousands, I've talked to hundreds of people who are just like, I need to get in shape first, or I need to do this, or they always, there's some excuse. Yeah, you can come up with the excuse. We'll meet you where you're at. It doesn't matter where you're at. We'll meet you where you're at. And just walk through the door, and we've got you taken care of once you're here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Kyle.
I'm Dan.
And we're the Fort, and we take training seriously.
And we do what works.
See you in the next episode.
Bye now.
Bye.